Hello everyone and welcome to Basefarm's offices here in Stockholm. And the webinar we have called How to be a Market Leader using Microsoft Azure. We will highlight some recent customer cases we've done here at the Basefarm and try to really single out how to get the most out of your Azure investment. The webinar is done in English because we have viewers from Sweden, Norway, and the Netherlands, and you will be able to put your questions in the chat afterwards. My name is John Risby. I work as Product Marketing Manager here at Basefarm, and with me I have Timo Wiksten, who recently joined us from Microsoft. Welcome to our hot seat, and it's going to be really interesting to hear your take on the subject today, given your extensive experience in the field.
Thank you, John. Well, I hope I can contribute, with some takeaway and stuff I've been picking up when working with Microsoft Azure. As you mentioned before, my background is working with enterprise customers, both in the private and public sector, with solution sales, and I've been doing that for over 20 years.
So let's cut straight to it. What would you say is the single most important success factor when going into Azure?
Of course, there's no single factor when you move into the cloud. There's lots of different aspects you have to have in mind. For example, when I look back with clients I've been working with, those that have a clear vision and strategy, and the roadmap will most likely be those who actually succeed. So that is really important, that you have a clear vision what you're aiming for.
Hang on. I thought everyone more or less knew what they were doing in this sector.
Well, not really. Many companies, they are doing this for different reasons. For example, for business purposes, to get the products faster to the market, using Azure as a financial instrument, to create value on the company and even increase, the market shares, and also then you have, the broad mass that okay, everybody's doing it, we should also doing it, and that's that's a recipe for disaster. It's not a good incentive actually to start it with that mindset.
Yeah, it sounds like a real bad and expensive idea.
Yes, it is. So the thing that you actually need to do is to start to discuss with the client what they want to achieve, what's the purpose, the outcome, and desire what they are aiming for, and the thing you need to do is start to investigate the rules, regulation, compliance, the direction and so on, what they are striving for, and also meet the customer's budget, business needs, and so on. So this is really important for us to understand, to be able to deliver what the client needs.
Right. I noticed you didn't mention innovation in your list.
No, because all the things I've been mentioning here is a driver actually to create the possibility for clients to start focusing on their core business and therefore innovate, work with their products and solutions. So innovation is on top of the Azure infrastructure. So we help the customer create value for them to start innovate. So I think that's the innovation part here.
Right, and also when you are in Azure and you can go to the marketplace, I've seen lots of
absolutely
tooling available for.
Yeah, because when you're running on Azure, you can of course use the marketplace, because you have lots of products that's available to be able to innovate even more. You have the ISV and all the other third-party vendors that have their software available on the marketplace. So that is a key factor as well.
Yeah, I've seen it's really grown, and probably a subject for the next webinar.
Yes, for sure. But seriously, most clients looking at these factors: speed up the time to market for services and products, cost control and increased flexibility, the built-in security and compliance tools, the evergreen infrastructure with new functionality added continuously, the marketplace solution for automation such as AI, big data.
Okay, Timo, that sounds like quite a massive list.
Yes, yes, it is. It's a lot of technical components and things you need to think of. But I think the important stuff here is to understand, how to create value for the customer and meet their desired outcome. Many companies is underestimate that Azure Cloud Services is just a smaller part, of a bigger picture. So it's really coming to you have to change lots of things, way of working, because it's a different environment compared to the traditional that many companies are used to. So therefore, the technical staff need to have a different approach. They start working more agile in agile projects and stuff like that, for be able to gain the benefits of the Azure infrastructure and the Azure services, start using DevOps and the other Azure functionalities that are in the platform. So therefore, the customer really needs to focus in a different way how to work, with processes and stuff like that, because many companies have been working before with ITIL processes and stuff like that, and that can sometimes, don't have the right match in the Azure infrastructure.
Right, but are you saying that you need to be working with Atea Mythology to succeed with Azure, or?
No, of course not. I think that many clients, customers, they are using the Azure infrastructure in a more old-fashioned, governance way. They have to adapt, to the old processes and stuff like that, and it's fine. I think it's suitable for those clients to use Azure in that way. But if you start looking into more product development, software development, and so on, I think that the way forward is actually use the agile methodology and working with the DevOps, and that will also gain, for the business, for the technical team, also work with sprints and releases and so on, and get faster to the market. So there's nothing that is right or wrong here, but you have to consider what you need to do.
Yes. Yeah. And it seems like the public cloud services, they are very good at enabling you to go agile, although you haven't been trying to or using that methodology before.
Yeah, that's true. And I also think that that we help with our customers is also to, let's say, enforce that way of working, because this is so new for many companies. So therefore, we use the advisory services and our professional services to really move the client forward to understand, the benefits of the agile work.
Right. And that actually brings us to our customer cases that we were going to look at today, where we have customers who have been through these journeys. So if we start with artificial solutions, how would you describe that case, and how did we carry out the work?
Yeah. So artificial solution, they started like a traditional software company, and they had a vision, and they are really technical driven. So therefore, Azure and Kubernetes was the architecture they were looking for that actually met their needs, to quicker to the market, faster development of solutions and products. So I think that the agile way of working for them was perfect match. And we, as I mentioned before, we helped them, set up the agile way of working for them.
Right, and I see from the quotations that we have from them that they really like to spend every hour on development,
exactly,
and 0 hours on management.
Yeah. So therefore, we are taking care, the infrastructure layer, and so they actually, spend every minute on development instead of managing the infrastructure, and we take care of for them.
Right, and as for Payex, how would you describe what we did for them?
Payex, they had a different challenge. They are working with PSS DCI. That's a secure payments for credit cards. Their challenge was also to go fast to the market, and develop their solutions that actually met the requirement, the security needs that they have for their 60,000 plus terminals that they are managing and handle all these card transactions. So that was a really important thing for them, that to have stability, security, control, uptime, and so on. And this will be a really success factor for them, that they don't have any downtime. So they're really satisfied with our solution. And in the same way here, we are managing the Azure Kubernetes platform for Payex.
Right, and then if we have a look at the Komplett Bank, which is quite a different case, where we approached another way how to set up their cloud engagement.
Yeah, they had as you mentioned, the bank had a different strategy. Their desire was, to reduce cost of the data centers and so on. So when they're launching new services and functionality, they were looking at Azure, and how can we use Azure to be successful and deliver new services and decrease, the cost of running a data center. So all new services that we are delivering to Komplett Bank are based on the Azure infrastructure. And after a while, when they have been running this, they realized that, okay, we really don't have the know-how and the skill how to manage the platform. So therefore, Basefarm are taking care of all Azure governance and running the infrastructure for them. So I think that the 3/4 of their consultants that are working with Azure are actually Basefarm. So we are doing a tremendous work for them to maintain their Azure infrastructure.
Very interesting. So you mean that we have like embedded resources in their technical teams?
Yes. So more or less, we are a part of the bank's technical department running and managing the Azure environment.
Okay. We've been covering a lot of different tracks here. So just to try to summarize this and bring us back on the subject, could you summarize in some way what we've been talking here about?
Yeah. So I actually prepared, like a top 10 list that we can go through, that valuable things to consider when you moving to the cloud. Create the blueprint of the technical solution that you are aiming for. Use the Azure best practice and the well-architected framework and guidelines. Keep it simple. Do not customize too much. Otherwise, you will not be future-proof when the infrastructure evolves. Use the Azure Marketplace for the third-party software to address your customization needs. Do not implement on-prem architecture and behavior in the cloud. Prioritize one user scenario that you want to change first. Set up security foundation that cover the essential security needs for your business. Implement Azure governance, who does what when it comes to provisioning, resources, and control. Carry out regular assessments of your solution. The need for managed services of your solution might be bigger than you thought. Get help from an MSP.
How would you say, when we have customers, clients listening to us now, and they think, oh, I would like to arrive at the same places where the cases they mentioned, like Payex and Artificial Solutions, Complete Bank, how would you, as an advisor at Basefarm, engage with the customer?
Yeah. So first of all, we started, to investigate together with the client. For us, it's important to understand the reason, the why, the what. Why are they doing this, and what are they looking for? So it's important for us, to also cover security, compliance stuff. To make sure that the client actually get what they are asking for. So it's important for us to understand their business drivers. So what is the cost? Meet the budget requirements, the timetables, and everything. So it's really important for us at Basefarm to understand the business outcome and why they are doing this, because then we can also try to focus on their needs. So that is a really important thing to consider.
Yes, and as I understand it now, when Basefarm has done this many times, we have actually a working blueprint with all the steps you need to take, and we have best practice how to achieve this.
Yeah. And usually when we have this in place, the things you mentioned, is that we can also help them to move the innovating part forward with the delivery and the daily operation to take responsibility to manage the cloud platform for them, make sure that they are compliant and meet all the security requirements and so on. So that is what we are really a differentiation compared to cloud consulting companies. We are taking responsibility all the time, the daily operation, and also like caring really for the customers to be successful. And we take our part, to manage the infrastructure for them in a cost-efficient way. So that is important.
Well, thank you, Timo, for this excellent rundown. Really helpful insights and experience. And I know this is hard-earned experience from your long work with Microsoft and on the inside. If we have any viewers right now who are getting interested and want to know more, what would you say would be their first step?
Well, first of all, I think they should reach out to to the local Basefarm office to ask for help. And I think that we have the competence and the resources available for them to start discussing what they're looking for and their vision and goals and so on. And also use our tools that we have for assessment, optimization, that will help them to move further in their cloud journey and start, to be creative and start innovate and moving forward. So I think that's a really good start. Also, they can visit our webpage, of course, because we have tons of good information when it comes to cloud services. You can read guides, you have customer cases, ebooks, and lots more relevant documentation to understand how to move forward in this area.
Sounds really good. I think now it's the time to look in the chat and see if we have any questions waiting for us.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go. So I'm looking at the studio monitor here, and we have actually some questions coming in. So here's one from Thomas, and he asks, you say evergreen infrastructure. Do you really need managed services when using the cloud?
Good question. Yeah, I think it's important to have managed services when running in a cloud environment because we take a responsibility to manage all the updates to make sure that it's suitable for the customer environment. Also, if you have other integrations, it's important to have control of what these upcoming updates do all the time. So it's really, really important to have a control of your environment. Therefore, managed services is really, really important to be successful in the cloud.
Right, and we have, let's see, and the next question here is from David. You talked about old behavior on-prem and new in the cloud. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think it's important when you start working in a cloud environment compared to on-prem, because it's a different way of working. You have a different approach when you manage the infrastructure compared to a traditional on-prem infrastructure. So you need to have good control over your resources in the Azure platform in a different way. You have to monitor and to understand the performance on the environment because it's so flexible. You can actually scale up and scale down. So that's the way of working, I think, in the cloud environment compared to the traditional on-prem environment. So really important to not inherit those bad behaviors in the cloud.
Right, and now we have, let's see here, Christian Sömme, he asks, how do you become a market leader? I think he refers to the subject of line of the webinar.
That's a really good question. I think that we put lots of effort and education and training and to work with new technology all the time. So it's really, really important, to study, be up to date, talk to the vendors, Microsoft, especially when it comes to Azure, of course. So and also listen to the customer, understand the business challenge, be an advisor, and keep on, read lots of information in the at the Microsoft web page. You have so much information in the, especially Microsoft Docs. You can find everything actually you need to know about the upcoming releases and so on. So it's really important.
Yes, and as a client, as a customer, how would you say? I think Christian also wants to know more from the customer side, becoming a market leader, focusing on the core business.
So I think that we as a service provider can take some responsibility for the daily operation of the environment, and therefore the customer can put lots of attention and focus on innovate and drive their product development or something else forward, and in that sense also gain market shares or be a market leader. So it's lots of different parameters so you need to address. But I think that focus on your business, let the managed service provider take care of the infrastructure. So I think that is a good advice actually to be a market leader.
We saw some examples of that in the customer cases you talked about. Right. Here's let's see, Frederick here Yeah, this is a question we get a lot these days during... Can I trust the security on the public cloud? Is it not more unsafe on the open internet?
I think that the public cloud is actually more safe than traditional on-prem environment. The reason for that is Microsoft, Amazon, Google, they spend so much money on security to make sure that they don't have any breaches or other kind of attacks against their infrastructure. And therefore I think the cloud environment is much safer compared to traditional on-prem, because they need to control it so hard, because if they have a breach, something happens, they are losing reputation, losing clients, so they cannot afford to not invest in security. And as you see on the market, you have lots of security updates all the time, new security function in Azure. So security is one of the most important key drivers for Microsoft to be successful with Azure.
Right. Yeah, let's see, here's a tricky one, maybe from Paul. Ask if you would. Will on-prem disappear totally?
Of course not. The reason is simple, because our clients and they have so much sensitive data that they don't dare actually to put in the cloud, even though, as I mentioned just the question before, that cloud is really safe, but you have to take care of GDPR and other security standards, to just be compliant. So therefore, on-prem will stay pretty long time in the future, especially for governance and so on.
Yes, and this might tie into the next question I see here from Maria Ekberg. Cloud adoption is still low in the banks. I think she means the banking sector, due to regulation. How does Azure meet that?
Well, I don't think... I think this question is the reason for the low adoption in the bank segment is one, as the regulation and compliance demands, and also the personal information that are existing. So banks are actually moving forward to Azure. They are looking to different kind of services that they see fit more and more into the public cloud environment. So I think banks will be there, but it will take probably 10 to 15 more years until they have compared to other kind of businesses. But they are moving slowly and forward. 5 years ago, they didn't even have Teams or the possibility to use those kinds of tools. But during the pandemic, they actually been forcing to start using online services, and they are much better and start using these functionality way quicker.
Yeah, I think we've seen that in many business sectors during the...
Of course.
Okay. Let's see, there's still questions coming in. We have Henning here who asks, I have servers both on-prem in Azure. Is there any way I can manage them together?
Yes, there are some technical solutions out there. Microsoft released, I think it was generally available, the Azure Arc. Arc is a portal that actually makes the possibility to manage your on-prem infrastructure from one single console, and that console also manages the Microsoft Azure environments. So you can actually deploy stuff inside the Azure console and deploy that to the on-prem environment. So Azure Arc is pretty new still. Today we don't have customers that use that, but I think that this will be a big leap, so let's say, to to find the common ground for infrastructure, manage common infrastructure. Could be on-prem, Azure, Amazon, and so on. So there's lots of possibilities with these new features.
Yes, it sounds like true hybrid managed services.
Yes.
Is coming.
Yes, it is.
Yes. I think that will be the last question for today. If you have more questions or want to know and have anything more or have additional information what we talked about, please contact us. We have our contact information on the website and on the event page. You can always reach out to Timo.
Yes.
We'll be happy to answer. And with that, I would like to thank you, Timo, for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I hope we will see you the next time. So bye from Stockholm.